Thanks for joining us. This is Nationwide. I'm Ruth Aguela. Against the backdrop of challenges in managing migration, Nigeria adopted the National Migration Policy and the National Policy on Labor Migration to combat exploitative practices like forced labor, smuggling, and human trafficking. This is contained in Nigeria's progress report presented at the 36th session of the United Nations Committee on the Protection of the Rights of Migrant Workers in Geneva, Switzerland. Onenge Fineface reports.
Migrant workers and their families often experience marginalization, xenophobia, and poor living and working conditions. In serious cases, they suffer exploitation, expulsion, and risk to life. Addressing the 36th session of the United Nations Committee on the Protection of the Rights of all Migrant Workers and Members of their Families, Federal Commissioner of the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, says Nigeria is evolving policies and strategies to tackle its migration, displacement, and human rights concerns.
Establishment of the International Labour Migration Division in the Ministry of Labour and Employment to promote good governance of labour migration in Nigeria. Ensure ethical recruitment and job placements in Nigeria and abroad through the registration and license of private employment agencies such as Human Capital Association of Nigeria, an umbrella organization of registered and licensed recruiters in order to protect the rights of migrant workers and prevent exploitation and abuse.
The 36th session of the Committee on Migrant Workers considers report submitted by Nigeria as state party to International Convention on the Protection of the Rights of all Migrant Workers and Members of their Families.
Nigeria advocates for the principle of equal treatment of migrants with nationals of their host countries in respect to issues of wages, working conditions, trade union rights, social security, and access to justice. Nigeria supports the ratification of the ILO Convention number 97 and 143 by all member countries who are yet to do so.
United Nations Human Rights Office works to promote, protect, and fulfill the human rights of all migrants, regardless of their status, with a particular focus on migrants in vulnerable situations and at most risk of human rights violations. Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has condemned in strong terms the unwarranted attacks and killings in Dabna village in Hong local government area of Adamawa State by unknown gunmen. In a statement signed by the Director of Information, Willie Bassi, says the repeated attacks have led to loss of lives, property and means of livelihood of the people of Dabna and surrounding communities who were basically agrarian. The SGF commends the swift intervention of law enforcement agencies in containing the attack from spreading to other communities. He condoles with the government and people of Adamawa State, Dabna community and families of those who lost their loved ones in the incident. Kaduna State Government has imposed a 24-hour curfew in Sabongari, Nasarawa, Tirikania of Chikun local government area of the state. A statement from the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, says the decision was reached following a breakdown of law and order, which led to the killing of 2 citizens. The statement added that security agencies have been directed to enforce the curfew in the said location to restore order as investigations continue. Citizens are therefore urged to strictly observe the curfew in that location, which takes effect immediately. Massive acquisition of military hardware and strategic guidance by President Muhammadu Buhari accounted for the success recorded in the fight against terrorism in the Northeast. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, stated this at the commencement of the first quarter Chief of Army Staff conference holding in Abuja. Defense correspondent.
Most importantly to the operations is the issue of intelligence. How do you safeguard, how do you secure your intelligence without giving out your information to the adversary? And so it's necessary for us to go through the gamut of intelligence gathering and above all, for everybody to come together and know each other, know their strengths and weaknesses, which will assist in improving the level of collaboration and cooperation among the various agencies.
Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that several armored personnel carriers manufactured by the military were on display at the event. In view of the evolving nature of the nation's security challenges, the Nigerian Army is developing the capacity of its personnel to effectively combat the complex emerging threats. Now, this is the focus of the leadership course in Operations Security Force Protection organized by the Nigerian Army Resource Center, Abuja.
During the height of Boko Haram insurgency in the Northeast, was involved in forced abortions on women and girls impregnated by Boko Haram fighters and the killing of babies and children believed to be for Boko Haram fighters. The Special Independent Investigation Panel on Human Rights Violation by the Nigerian Army in the Northeast is in Yola to carry out investigation on the said allegations for recommendations to the federal government for justice and redress to the victims.
Another important aspect of the work of the panel is that it is tasked with receiving memoranda from members of the public and victims of human rights violations perpetrated by the Nigerian Armed Forces in the counter-insurgency operations.
Brigadier General B.A.D. Martins of 28 Task Force Chibok and Brigadier General Muhammad Jibril of 23 Armored Brigade Yola denied the allegations, saying the claims by authorities is baseless, as the Nigerian Army carried out its functions professionally to restore peace and unity in the Northeast, which needs to be commended.
The same army that is assisting the federal government to execute this program to its fullest accomplishment will now find itself smothering children. The two are unrelated. I will still stand any day to tell you that the Nigerian Army cannot be involved in such a very, very grievous accusation.
The Nigerian Army is a professional army, and we are well trained and highly respected, not only in Nigeria, but also across the globe because of our performances.
They reassured of the Nigerian Army relentless effort to safeguard lives and property of the people in line with international best practices. In Yola, Simon Asher, NTA News.
We apologize for that mix-up there. That report was on the allegation by international media that the army violated human rights. But let's turn to other issues. A musical artist, Habib Okikiola, popularly known as Portable, has been arraigned before a chief magistrate court for assault and stealing. The Zazu crooner, who pleaded not guilty to the charges, was however granted bail by Chief Magistrate Aliyu Shanaye in the sum of 800,000 naira. Lekon Agbode has that report package, but we don't have it ready. So let's head to Lagos now to join Michael to pick up with more reports for us. Michael.
Our Balewa Square Annex has dismissed the no-case submission of Assistant Superintendent of Police ASP Jambi Vandi, who allegedly killed a Lagos-based lawyer, Omobolanle Rahim, on December 25, 2022. Presiding Judge Justice Ibunke Harrison gave the ruling during a sitting of the court on Monday in an application filed by the defendants on February 28, 2023. Adeni reports.
The defendant, ASP Drambi had, after his arraignment on January 16, 2023, on one count charge of murder, pleaded not guilty and filed an application before the court to have the charge brought against him by the Lagos State government quashed on the ground weak and inconsistent evidence linking him to the murder. But Justice Ibunke Harrison held that the prosecution, led by the Attorney General of Lagos, Moyose Onigbandu SCA, had established sufficient oral and documentary evidence linking the defendant to the crime, which required explanation from him. The court added that the evidence of the defendant, being the other eyewitness who is there to testify before it about the incident, will shed more light on what happened that day. Justice Iburuka noted that the prosecution has established a prima facie case requiring some explanation by the defendant. The prosecution closed its case on February 15. It had called 11 witnesses, made up of 8 police officers, some of whom were colleagues of the defendants, 2 eyewitnesses, and a pathologist. In Monday's ruling, the court noted that some of the witnesses had testified they saw him shoot the deceased that day, and that the defendant's rifle was short of 2 ammunition upon his arrest for the shooting. When reacting to the ruling, defense counsel told the judge that the defense team will review the ruling and decide on whether to appeal. But the Lagos Director of Prosecution said an interlocutory appeal of this nature will not stop the continuation of the trial in line with Section 273 of the Administration Criminal Justice Law of Lagos State. And he applied for a day for further hearing. The case was adjourned to May 16 for the defendant to open his defense in Lagos. Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
In the 2023 post-election reports, the Lagos State Police says isolated cases witnessed were fueled by fake and hate news videos as a way to tackle the trend in cyber crime capacity. To identify, apprehend, and prosecute such elements has been heightened. The Commissioner of Police, the Wonwa, did while interacting with officers. Although the dog raised by various fake and hate news during the concluded general elections is gradually fading off, but the Lagos Police Command is assessing its operations to effectively plan and position officers for better performance in the future.
All right, to apologize for the hitch experienced there in Lagos. Let's nationwide continues shortly. Welcome back. President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with multi-talented musician Ebenezer Obey on his 81st birthday. The talented performer for 66 years of impactful global career with evergreen signature tunes from the 50s. President Buhari, in a statement, affirms the influence of Obey, known as Chief Commander, on blossom in the Nigerian musical industry since he started out at 15 years old, bringing a fusion of juju and high life into a musical band, International Brothers, in 1964, metamorphosing to international reformers in the 70s. The president believes the reverend mentor and teacher expands his reach through sharing knowledge, good works, and charity, guiding younger musicians to get training and skills at his musical school, counseling many against destructive habits and providing scholarships for the less privileged, with visits to orphanages and other welfare institutions. President Buhari joins family members, friends, professional colleagues, and fans of Obey in appreciating the lifelong dedication, diligence, and sacrifices that culminated in the successes and the willingness to always place God at the center. The Nigerian Union of Pensioners Southwest Zone has appealed to President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu to prioritize the welfare of members so as to alleviate the untold hardship they face on a daily basis. The union made the appeal shortly after their quarterly meeting in Abuja, the Ogun State capital. Hakim Juma reports.
Addressing journalists after the quarterly meeting of the union in Abuja, Ogun State capital, the Public Relations Officer, Nigerian Union of Pensioners (NUP) Southwest Zone, Olusegun Abaton, appealed to the President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu to look into the plight of members so as to reduce the hardship they contend with.
We are appealing to the President-elect to please take the matter of pensioners as a serious matter. We want even to call for a separate ministry or organization to be created for the interest, to address the interests of pensioners.
Mr. Abaton, who commended President Muhammadu Buhari for giving attention to issues that affect pensioners urged the president-elect to borrow a leaf from him. The union congratulated the president-elect and state governors who have been elected or re-elected in the zone, urging them to, as a matter of urgency, implement the consequential adjustment and the 35% pension increment.
The elderly in Anambra State will soon be given a sense of belonging as plans by the state government are underway to give them a befitting housing estate. Idem Kalu reports that this was made known when Governor Chukwuma Soludo inaugurated the State Housing Development Corporation Board.
It is a project and the illustrious sons of Anambra and members of the Anambra State Housing Development Corporation, and we are hereby inaugurated.
The board, which is critical to the governor, with his transformation agenda, which is one of the basic needs of man, expressing concern that the state lacks adequate housing data, the governor charged the board members to disrupt the system in a way that is consistent with the yearnings of the people of the state for proper housing for the elderly.
Is think outside of the box and be disruptive as much as we can. This is Anambra, where we disrupt and we come up with new ideas and we can say to the world, come to Anambra and see what housing development is all about.
I want to thank you and then assure you that the state will not be disappointed in any form. The result is what the state needs from us, and we are ready to do that.
It is the expectation of the people that with the inauguration of the board, accommodation challenges will be a thing of the past in the state. Ndem Kalo, NTA News.
Cross River State Governor Professor Ben Ayade is appreciating the people of the state for the massive support for the Back to South movement and the APC, which culminated in the huge victory recorded at the governorship and State House of Assembly elections. The governor stated this when the governor-elect, his deputy, and elected legislators presented their certificates of return to him in appreciation for the governor's support throughout the just concluded electioneering process. Let's hear from Paul Abel.
The state governor, Professor Ben Ayade, charged the governor-elect to deliver and meet the expectations of the people who have relinquished their trust and hope on him without disappointing them.
If I did salary, expand government for 8 years without fail, if you could do so even with pension, Basotho will do better. That is the expectation. We must show that all of us who collectively put our destiny in our hands, that we did it, we took a right decision. And that right decision is that put the people first.
The state governor-elect, Prince Basio too, revealed that his visit is majorly to present his certificate of return, issued to him by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as he dedicates the victory to God, while acknowledging the significant role played by the governor in his quest to ensure that power returns to Cross River South in line with the zoning arrangement in the state.
Your Excellency, the challenges are quite huge, but we're here to give you every assurance. Like I always say, that we will build on all the gains and achievements of all the past administrations, and even those projects that were not completed. We are going to complete all of them to give value.
The Deputy Governor of the state, Professor Ivara Esu, Senator Florence Tagiwa, among other dignitaries, were present at the event. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
The new Nigeria People's Party Taraba State Chapter has urged the Independent National Electoral Commission to review results of the just concluded governorship and state assembly elections in the state to give peace a chance. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that the party made this known at a peaceful rally held in Abuja.
These are members of the new Nigeria People's Party from Taraba State on a peaceful protest in front of INEC headquarters, Abuja. Their demands are to review the processes that led to the declaration of PDP candidate as winner in the just concluded March 18 governorship election. Shortly after submission of complaint letter to electoral umpire, Chairman of the NNPP Taraba State Chapter, Umar Muhammad, speaks.
Our people there in Taraba, they should have this good news that INEC have received us. They've given us the good will message to return back to them.
The matter that they have brought will be tabled before the commission, and a decision will be reached and they will be communicated.
Meanwhile, the Natives, a socio-cultural political group, was at the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission to commend them for conducting a credible, free and fair presidential election that produced Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a president-elect.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu is already preparing for May 29. And we are all brothers and sisters. And we can all work together and change our country.
The group cautioned stakeholders from post-election conduct that are capable of threatening the unity of Nigeria. In Abuja, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
All right, we're heading to Kaduna right now to join Amina for some more reports. Amina.
Ruth, welcome to Kaduna Network Center. In response to the need for high-skilled personnel to man the food supply chain system for quality and safety of food which goes to consumers, the federal government has organized a sensitization meeting on pilot survey of food facilities in Kano. Awal Salis reports that the survey will be conducted in 5 local government areas of Kano State.
Lack of adherence to food safety, ignorance to food intoxicants, and poor coordination to food control and regulatory limits, among others, are common in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria inclusive. To reverse the trend, federal government introduced different policies and programs to unlock potentials of food professionals in promoting, implementing, and coming out with research that will add value to local foods. The sensitization in Kano, therefore, is aimed at creating awareness on the proposed pilot survey of food business operations, especially in wards and units of 5 local government areas of Bichi, Gaya, Karaye, Nasarawa, and Rano.
For us to have a diversified economy, you need to regulate the professionals so that they will be able to contribute their own quota towards the industrialization development of the federal government by way of getting the right people to do the right job.
We chose Kano to be our first area of visit in the country because of the number of people we have here in Kano and the number of products, farm produce produced here in Kano.
We now will be able to sensitize our people to add value, to take good care of our foods, which will have impact on our health and also on our economy.
It is hoped that the survey will facilitate structured and well-managed food system in Nigeria. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
Creation in the agricultural sector will continue to be a mirage until proper processing of agricultural produce is developed in Nigeria. The view of experts at a meeting with Sagam breathers and other stakeholders in Kano. Yohannes Hassan Baro has more. We apologize for the mix-up. The Labour Party wing of Kaura local government area of Kaduna State has appealed to the outgoing member, Kaduna Kaura constituency in the Federal House of Representatives, Gideon Gwani, to accept defeat in good faith. The group made this known during a news conference in Kaura. Lois Apollo has details.
The youth wing, Gaya Prosper, who presented the position of the group, said they are calling on Gideon Gwani to kindly respect the will of the people and allow the new member-elect to focus on the task ahead for the development of the area. The group explained that the present member, Gideon Gwani, who has enjoyed the mandate and goodwill of the people for 2 decades, should see reason to allow another person who was massively supported and voted by the people to represent them in the Green Chamber. They said although he has the right to seek redress in the court, but he should remember where he is coming from and listen to the voice of the people and withdraw the case so that stakeholders can engage in out-of-court settlement. Describing Kaura people as peace-loving even in the face of security challenges, the youth group further appealed to pressure groups, tribal associations, traditional and religious leaders within Kaura Federal Constituency
to lend their voices in addressing the political problem going on for the past 1 month.
We beg and plead on all the people of Kaura to come out and support Honorable Donatus Matthew, aka Digester, through our united voice in prayers, human and material resources.
Meanwhile, Chairman Coalition of Political Parties, Kaura Local Government, Ezekiel Bobai, and that of Kader Riders, Abba Anthony, have described the victory of Donatus Matthew at the polls as an answer prayer for the people of Kaura, as they pleaded for peaceful resolution of the matter, especially out of court. A member-elect Kaura Federal Constituency, Donatus Matthew, whose mandate is being challenged, is the commercial motorcycle operator and one of the 2 persons to clinch the ticket under the Labour Party in Kaduna State. Lois Apollo, NTA News.
And that's it from here. We now take a second break. Nationwide continues in Ibadan after these messages.
Words cannot.
Wide on the network service of the NTA, and welcome to Ibadan. Despite the Central Bank of Nigeria's directive for the new and old Naira notes to be in circulation in all banking institutions across the country, residents of Ijebu still find it difficult to access cash within the metropolis. Adaobi Obiechina tells us more.
A visit to some commercial banks in the metropolis showed bank customers in numbers queuing in front of bank premises, patiently waiting to go in for various transactions. Some of the customers complained over the slow performance of the internet, saying the situation is frustrating.
We are here since 6 o'clock, 6 months, 6 o'clock. So why the bank open 9 o'clock? So up to now, we have never seen nowhere to enter.
The network is not doing well, so we've been standing here for like 1 hour.
I've been here since 10 o'clock, and I have not seen a way to enter inside.
A respondent who spoke to NTA Crew said she finally got some cash after 2 days.
For this month, I collect 40,000.
Although the Central Bank of Nigeria has directed banks to disburse both old and new currency notes, as well as include weekend operations, there seems to be no relief in the cash crunch. Adobe Obiechina, NTA News.
Muslims have been urged to be good followers of their leaders for a peaceful society. This was the thrust of a lecture delivered by Sheikh Muhyiddin Ibrahim Ayede at the 2023 NTA Ibadan Are Abdulaziz Arishekola Alao Memorial Ramadan Lecture held during the week. Lukman Hassan has the details.
Speaking on the lecture titled Role of Leaders Followership in the Society, Islamic Perspective, the guest lecturer, Sheikh Muhyiddin Ibrahim Ayede, noted that a leader must lead with the fear of Allah. He explained that following the instructions of leader is compulsory for followers.
There's a rule for leadership in Islam, that is to have a listening here to the followership, and for the follower to listen to them, to follow them with prayer of God.
Management of NTA Ibadan and the Ramadan Committee, while thanking the family of Abdulaziz Arishekola Alao for sponsoring the annual Ramadan lecture, urged worldly Muslims to emulate the lifestyle of the late Are Muslimin.
Late Arishekola Alao never discriminated when he was alive. He's a true practicing Muslim person. He practiced what he read.
I want to appreciate the late Are Abdulaziz Arishekola Alao family for their kind gestures to NTA Ibadan in the last 8 years.
Family members and close associates of Are Arishekola Alao noted that they will continue to partner NTA Ibadan to propagate Islam.
He extended to the whole world. There is nowhere that he did not extend his hands of generosity to.
When I was younger, all I know about is giving out. I don't know any other way. When you have, you give.
The 2023 NTA Ibadan Are Abdulaziz Arishekola Alao Memorial Ramadan Lecture is the 8th edition in Ibadan. Lukman Hassan, NTA News.
Those are the trending reports from Ibadan at this hour. Nationwide continues in Abuja studios with Ruth.
Thank you, Larry. All right, let's take you back to the report we called earlier when we told you an Nigerian musical artist, Portable, who was charged in court for alleged stealing and assault, but he's been granted bail. So let's Lekon Akwonde give us the full details now.
The zoo creator was arraigned before the magistrate court presided over by Chief Magistrate Aliu Shoneye on 5-count charge of 2 parts bordering on assault and stealing. The first part of the charge reads that the defendant and others now at large had on the 28th of March 2023 at Odogu Bar in Okiosa, Ilogbo, Ifo, inflicted physical injury on one Inspector Ahmed Mashood, causing his victim to bleed in his nose. The count 2 of the first part also reads that the defendant resisted arrest when some policemen came with a warrant of arrest. The second part of 3-count charge reads that Portable had on the 18th of November 2022 conspired with others now at large to commit felony with assault, while on the same date at the same address assaulted one Emmanuel Osimosu. And the third count reads that in the same year and in the same address, the defendant stole some musical gadgets. The presiding judge, Chief Magistrate Aliu Shoneye, in his ruling, after the accused has pleaded not guilty, granted him bail with bond of 300,000 naira on the first 2-count charge with 2 sureties who must reside within the jurisdiction of the court.
The court, beyond granting him bail, stipulated the terms on which the bail was granted, part of which is that the sureties should be part of his relation, and aside that should be a tax-paying resident within the jurisdiction of the court. And the others are any, the financial terms is 500 in the first charge, and the second charge 300,000.
The court, however, ruled that the defendant be remanded in Ilaro Correctional Facility pending the time his bail requirements are met. The case has been adjourned to the 26th of April for the commencement of the trial. From Ifo, Lekon Agbonde, NTA News.
The High Court of Lagos State has dismissed a no-case submission filed by the suspended Assistant Superintendent of Police, Drambi Vandi, who allegedly killed a Lagos-based lawyer, Omobolanle Rahim, on December 25, 2022. The presiding judge, Justice Ibironke Harrison, ordered the defendant to open his defense as a prima facie that has been made against him. In his application on the no-case submission, Vandi has asked the court to dismiss the suit and discharge him, claiming that he has no case to answer. With this ruling, the defendant is expected to defend his alleged involvement in the killing of Omobolanle Rahim on December 25, 2022. All right, we have to rejoin Lagos, where Michael is standing by. Earlier, we saw a poor signal there. So the signal is clearer now, so let's get a clear view of those reports. Michael?
Thank you, Ruth. We apologize for the itch earlier, and moving forward in its 2023 post-elections report, the Lagos State Police Command says isolated cases witnessed were fueled by fake and hate news vendors, and as a way to tackle the trend, its cybercrime capacity to identify, apprehend, and prosecute such elements have been heightened. The Commissioner of Police, Idowu Owonwa, stated this while interacting with officers. Although the dust raised by purveyors of fake and hate news during the just concluded general elections is gradually fading off, but the Lagos Police Command is assessing its operations to effectively plan and position officers for better performance in the future. This is the essence of this dialogue.
Areas of jurisdictions.
Within the 2 rounds of election, 54 major incidents across 13,325 polling units were recorded, in which 45 suspects were arrested and 2,870 permanent voters' cards were recovered. The Commissioner of Police, however, singled out what it termed fraudulent manipulation of social media to threaten the electoral process and create tension. Now that the elections are over, the police want those planning to use such vehicle to inflame violence to have a rethink.
We also wish to firmly warn all agents of destabilization to desist henceforth for common good, as the command cybercrime capacity is being enhanced to identify, apprehend, and prosecute such elements within the dictates of extant laws.
Beyond the elections, the police said its analysis of crime in the state shows that the activities of cultists have become a major threat to public peace and security, stating that combative measures will be activated to counter the threats.
The operation will be executed in a way as to ensure that the anti-cultism battle is taken right to the doorsteps, hideouts, and safe havens of cultists.
While the police in Lagos will be leveraging on the Inspector General's commendation during the elections to improve on its performance, the Commissioner of Police believes partnership with the public is important to achieve more successes. For micro, medium, and small-scale enterprises to move to the realm of global acceptability of their products and services while equally conducting businesses to meet international best practices, there must be deliberate efforts to regulate consultants who are in the quality management system to companies in the country to erase fraudulent practices in the sector. Larry Bilei reports.
Practices in the world is to have organizations that see to the certification of standards and the quality of products and services being churned out from micro, medium, small-scale enterprises, even large companies. Nigeria cannot be an exception in this system. This is what informed stakeholders in this sector to come together and deliberate on ways to weed out quacks who have managed to take advantage of the system in certifying enterprises fraudulently.
Right now, anybody can come into the market without documentation, and some of our customers, the public, have been duped by companies that are not authentic. So this process will make sure that only individuals that are qualified and authentic are participating in the system.
Registration of consultants is being proposed, where practitioners are regulated and assurances of best practices becomes the norm.
Register not only consultants but auditors. But when you register auditors, then you will cut down quacks.
Whenever a client approach us or approach anybody for registration, the client will know that it's not going to be shortchanged.
This development will go a long way in not only eliminating sharp practices, but also in ensuring that acceptable standards are injected into the conception of products, system service, and processes. In Lagos, Larry Bilei, NTA News.
That is it from here. It's now back to Ruth for the continuation of the news.
Thanks, Michael. Guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria have described the Department of State Services alarm of alleged plot for an interim government by unscrupulous persons as panicky and capable of overheating the polity. While discussing threats to May 29th inauguration, the guests urged the nation's top secret police to do their jobs and arrest the alleged plotters forthwith to face the weight of the law. Lydia Sampson reports.
Nigerians find it absurd that after rigorous general elections, some alleged plotters will contemplate an interim government which has no basis in the Nigerian constitution. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria described the red alert by the DSS as vexatious.
Nobody says DSS should not do their job, but they should do it in a manner that does not overheat the polity itself again and does not give an impression that maybe it's like, they're trying to give a dog a bad name to hang it, because it has happened, it's happening in other crimes too. People cook up anything and then just go and arrest somebody.
I believe the DSS is within its powers and purviews to make that statement. Not only is it timely, but also a sign that the DSS knows the plans of people in Nigeria, what they are planning with respect to the elections.
Others, however, believe the alert by the DSS is timely, but urge the nation's top security police to be proactive.
To handle the polity and handle the politicians and ensure that people look forward to 2027, that all is not over, but something has happened now, but we're going to build on it. I'm sure that's what the media can do. We can't do much more than that.
I think it's still better to exercise patience and recognize the fact that democracy is a game of temporary victories. I've listened to a politician who said that losing an election is like losing a child, which, of course, we understand the depth of grief that such outcome bring along.
The guest called on political actors and Nigerians to uphold the tenets of democracy and stop flying kites that could derail democracy. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
A car this morning reportedly plunged into the Ikoba River along Akpabava Road, leaving unidentified number of occupants dead. Although details were sketchy at the time, our correspondent Ogochukuka Ona got to the scene. Some group of persons who witnessed the incident while sympathizing told her that they heard the vehicle swerved off the road from the Ewa Road Junction axis. Although federal road safety officials and Edo State traffic personnel were there to control traffic, which forced commuters to resort to trekking, as there was literally no movement for more than 2 hours. At the time of filing this report, rescue operations, we're told, was on to pull out victims from the vehicle. Muslims have been advised to nurture and train their children in the ways of Allah in order to build a peaceful and prosperous society. This was brought to the fore at the 12th Ramadan lecture of the Nigerian Television Authority, Ilorin, with the theme, Making the Best of Ramadan and the role of Muslim women towards building an Islamic home. Kende Omolosho reports.
لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم بدأت بسم الله في مدي محمد.
Quran recitation and songs of praises in honor of Prophet Muhammad set the tone of the Ramadan lecture, which attracted various Islamic organizations and people from all walks of life. Imam Ibrahim Musa Budofu, in his lecture, Making the Best of Ramadan, charged Muslims to be determined to come out of Ramadan with positive change in their lifestyles.
To use Ramadan in a social aspect by doing good to the people, starting from the parents and the poor.
The role of women towards building an Islamic home was also explained by Ajia Khadija Abdul Salam.
The parents to be a good foundation to their kids. Whatever you want them to do, you should be the first on the list to start doing it.
The senior advocate of Nigeria, Yusuf Olaoluali, applauded NTA learning management for coming up with programs that promote harmonious society.
All the lessons of Ramadan should not end in Ramadan with us.
One of the best lessons I learned from it is how to take care of our children when they are at their youthful age.
General Manager NTA Learning noted that the Ramadan lecture is part of the station's corporate social responsibility, adding that NTA is committed to promoting peace and harmony through broadcasting.
Theme for this lecture, Making the Best of Ramadan and Role of Women Towards Building an Islamic Home, was carefully selected for the benefit of all.
The Ramadan lecture is the 12th in the series. Kehinde Omolosho, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari shares the grief with family members, friends and associates of distinguished elder of the Yoruba Tennis Club and past president of the Nigerian Institute of Structural Engineers, Arole Ezekiel Yola Omishore, who passed at age 96. President Buhari affirms the dutifulness, courage and inspiration that Omishore brought into his work and life, remaining humble and warm even in his 90s, with evidence of influence as a bridge for those that were climbing up and pillar for the downtrodden. The president also notes the remarkable contributions of the engineer to development of the country, employed by the then government of Western Region, Ministry of Works, as the first Nigerian structural engineer before he left to start the engineering section of Design Group as an associate partner. The president urges family members and friends to approximate the good works of Arole Omishore, who was also Bobani of Ile-Ife, Alatunse of Cathedral Church of the Anglican Ile-Ife, and Ashiwaju Okunri of Christian Association of Nigeria. President Buhari prays that his soul will find rest with the Lord. Fidel prayer for the repose of the souls of a foremost religious leader and former Grand Qadi of Kwara State, Justice Abdul Muttalib Ahmad Ambali, has been held in Ilorin, Kwara State, with a call on Muslims to devote their lives to the service of God and humanity. Abdulafiz Alaya reports.
All roads led to Ansar Islam Primary School, Okekere, as dignitaries within and outside Nigeria converged to pay their last respect to the retired Grand Qadi, late Justice Abdul Muttalib Ahmad Ambali. Retired and serving members of the bar and bench, as well as political leaders, were part of the Fidel prayers led by the Chief Imam of Ilorin, Sheikh Muhammad Bashir Solid. Sheikh Abdul Mumin Ayara, in his sermon, described the deceased as a strong pillar of Ansar Islam Society of Nigeria, whose contributions would remain a reference point for generations to come. Though a man of many parts, Justice Ambali's contributions to Islamic law and jurisprudence, as well as scholarship to dignitaries, stood him out among his peers.
He doesn't condone indolence. He's very straightforward.
Ready to give all he has to help people. We admire him.
Justice Ambali is an indescribable person when it comes to humility.
To the children is to emulate their late father.
The death of the late jurist has no doubt created a big vacuum. His immediate family are committed to build on the legacies he left behind.
We try as much as possible to assimilate everything that he left as legacies.
He was always around to give guidance and very good advice in every step we take in life.
He was a very caring, loving, and wonderful father.
Born in 1943, Justice Abdul Muttalib Ambali was appointed the Grand Qadi of Kwara State Sharia Court of Appeal in the year 2000, a post he held till 2008 when he bowed out of service. As a former scholar and prolific writer, Justice Ambali had about 45 national and international seminar papers as well as 25 publications to his credit. He was also conferred with the National Honor of Order of the Federal Republic in 2011 by the federal government of Nigeria.
All right, that's nationwide. Thank you very much for your company. Do have a pleasant evening. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.